David.
Okay.
You're good to go, David.
Okay. Now, I don't have bio information here for Mindy. I'm afraid. What I have is Cindy's information. I don't. Anyway, Cindy is a realtor, seniors real estate specialist. Is actually an acronym for that. SRES with an R with a circle around it. I don't know what that means. Or maybe it's repeat something. She can do it over and over. She has a background in service-based careers and has always been drawn to helping people through important life transitions. Her connection to working with older adults began years ago while managing a women's fitness facility where she built strong relationships within the senior community. She's known for being a thoughtful, detail oriented, and focused on making what can feel overwhelming much more manageable. Having lived in Ancaster for over 30 years and now supporting her own aging parent, she brings both professional guidance and real life understanding to every client she works with. I'm sorry, Mindy, I don't have a bit of bio information on you here, but I'm really saying welcome to anyway. Come on board. Take it away, the both of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mindy, why don't you take a second and tell us about yourself?
Actually, we have a little bit in our presentation that speaks to both of us. So if you don't mind, we'll just start off there, and then I'm happy to answer any questions at the end, if that works. So good morning, everyone, and thanks so much to the Grand River Council on Aging for having us. We appreciate as well everybody joining us for this presentation. We're Cindy and Mindy, and we're realtors with Peak Realty. Our offices are in Paris and Waterloo. Today, we're going to talk about something that almost everyone watching is either thinking about, putting off, or has a family member going through, or has gone through this right now, decluttering and downsizing. But before we get into it, a quick word about why this topic matters to us specifically. We both hold the SRES designation, which stands for Senior Real Estate Specialist. It's a certification specifically for realtors who work with clients 55 and older through major transitions. It's not just letters after our name. The training is about understanding that for most of our clients, this isn't just a real estate transaction. It's a deeply personal milestone, and our job is to make sure it feels that way.
Here's a bit about us. Some of this might be repetitive after the nice introduction, but I've spent over 30 years in client-focused work and the past 6 helping people through real estate transitions. I am also going through this stage right now with my own mother, so I really do understand what this can feel like from both sides.
And I've been in real estate since 2015. I also understand firsthand what it's like managing a home on your own and trying to make the right decisions about it. Not long ago, a company came to my door offering home upgrades. The salespeople were friendly, knowledgeable, but they wanted an answer right on the spot. The discount would only last if I said yes right away, right now. Their quote was nearly twice what I was expecting. I hesitated. I said no. I called a roofing company that I had worked with before, and they gave me a fair price with zero pressure. Here's why I'm telling you that story. Whether you're sorting through a closet or deciding whether to sell a home you've lived in for 30 years, the same principle applies. You don't have to decide on the spot. Anyone who tells you otherwise is not the right person to be working with.
Most people don't actually have a clutter problem. They have a decision problem. And the longer those decisions get put off, the harder they become. Today isn't about getting rid of everything you own. It's about making thoughtful decisions so your home continues to support you instead of overwhelming you.
And just to say upfront, this isn't only about moving. Some of the people we work with stay right where they are and simply make their home easier to manage. Others eventually decide to downsize. Today is about giving you a way to approach either one without feeling stressed out. Here's what we're going to talk about today. First, we'll talk about why this feels so hard, because if it were as easy as sorting through stuff, nobody would be stuck. Something deeper is going on. Then we're going to split this into 2 parts. Part 1 is decluttering. That's lightening the load, even if you're staying put. Part 2 is downsizing, and that's where you're actually moving into a smaller space. Along the way, we'll share some stories from people we've worked with, the good, the not so good, and what made the difference.
So let's talk about what we hear all the time. The first thing over and over is that people just don't know where to start. They look around at decades of life and the volume alone is overwhelming before they've even touched a single drawer. The second thing is that everything feels important. And we don't mean that in a hoarder kind of way. We mean it in a deeply human kind of way. That chipped casserole dish, it was on the table every Sunday for 30 years. The golf clubs in the garage, they belong to someone who isn't here anymore. The box of cards in the closet, every single one was kept on purpose. None of it is just stuff. It's a marriage, a childhood, a person you loved.
And the third thing is that later eventually turns into too late. A health change, a fall, the loss of a partner, and suddenly all those decisions that could have been made slowly over time all have to be made at once and right now. That's where the real stress comes in, because it's not just about sorting through things anymore, it's doing it under pressure.
So before we go any further, we want to offer a different way of looking at all of this. Because when people picture decluttering or downsizing, they picture loss and letting go, giving up things that represent their family, their memories, their history. And that's why people avoid it. Not because they're lazy, not because they're disorganized, because it's emotional. So we need to stop thinking about getting rid of things and start thinking about making space for what's next. That's exciting. You don't need to keep everything to keep what matters. And once that mind shift happens, the decisions do start to feel easier.
All right, part 1, decluttering. This is for everyone, whether you're planning to move or not, because even if you stay right where you are, your home should still work for you. It should still feel manageable, not like more than you want to deal with. Think of decluttering as maintenance for your life, not just for your home. The same way you'd service a car or get a checkup, clearing out what no longer serves you keeps things running smoothly. And honestly, most people who do say the same thing afterwards, they wish they'd started sooner.
The single biggest mistake we see is people trying to do too much, too fast. They look at the whole house and think, I cannot believe I need to deal with all of this. They feel swamped, and that's usually where they stop before they even start. So here's the rule. Start small. Not the whole bathroom, one drawer. Not the whole bedroom, just one closet. And definitely not the whole basement, at least not yet. And give yourself a defined amount of time. 30 minutes. Set a timer, and when it goes off, you stop. Because this isn't about how much you get done in one day. It's about building momentum over time. We've seen people make more progress doing 30 minutes a few days a week than trying to take on the whole house in a single weekend. So once you've started, here's the system to stick to. 4 simple categories. That's it. Keep, donate, sell, toss. Keep is what still serves your day-to-day life or what you truly want to continue living with. Donate is anything in good condition that someone else could still use and benefit from. Sell is for items that still hold real value and are worth placing on the market. And that extra money will come in handy when it's time to pay the movers if you're moving. And finally, toss. Toss is anything that has reached the end of its purpose. The goal here isn't speed, it's clarity. One decision at a time, not all at once.
These are tactics we see work in real homes. Don't worry about trying to remember this or get a picture of the screen. There will be a handout with the newsletter in the follow-up. So number 1, start small with one small area. Don't tackle the whole house. Pick one drawer, one shelf, one corner. Motivation beats momentum. Momentum beats motivation every time. And once you finish something completely, even something tiny, your brain wants you to do more. Number 2, sort into simple categories. Keep, donate, sell, toss. That's it. The more categories you create, the more decisions you have to make about every single item. Simple decisions move things along. And number 3, ask the honest question. When was the last time I used this? It's been over a year and it's not seasonal. It's probably time to let it go. And that's not being harsh, it's being honest.
Number 4, the duplicate check. How many spatulas does one household need? How many water bottles? How many black sweaters?
Oh, you can never have too many black sweaters.
Keep the best one, donate the rest. Most of us own 3 or 4 versions of the same thing, and we use one. The others are taking up space and decision energy. Number 5 is the maybe box. If you're unsure about something, put it in a box, date it, and store it out of sight. If you don't open that box in 6 months, donate the whole thing. Don't even open it. You won't remember what's in there. That's the test. Number 6, clear surfaces first, like your kitchen counters, your entry tables, your coffee tables. Those surfaces set the tone for the whole home. A cluttered counter makes the whole kitchen and your brain feel cluttered. Clear surfaces instantly make a space feel calmer. You'll feel calmer. Start there if you want a quick visual win.
And number 7, one in, one out. When something new comes into the house, other clothing, decor, gadgets, or something similar, then something similar leaves. It keeps things balanced. And that's how you stop the slow refill that undoes all your hard work. And number 8, set a timer. Work in small 20 to 30 minute bursts. When the timer goes off, you stop. Even if you feel like you could do more, especially if you feel like you could do more, because short sessions prevent burnout, and burnout is what makes people quit halfway through. You don't need all 8 tactics. Pick the ones that resonate with you. You need the ones that fit your situation. Now, let us show you what this looks like in real life, because everything we've just talked about is fine in theory. The question is, what happens when you use it?
Let me tell you about what can happen when decluttering gets put off for too long. We met with a homeowner who had lived in her home for over 40 years. The house was well cared for and full of memories, but over time it had also become very full. Every cupboard, closet, and spare room held decades of belongings, plus unused birthday and Christmas gifts from family she hadn't even gotten around to using yet. She had talked about simplifying her life for years, but the process felt so overwhelming that she never knew where to begin. So nothing really changed. Until suddenly, after a fall, she lost a lot of mobility and needed to use a walker. She didn't want to move, but her things were getting in the way of living comfortably in her home. When we arrived, she was barely using her home and had just enough room to get to the things she needed most, like the kitchen, her bedroom, the bathroom, and her mood had taken a downward turn. It took some encouragement, but with our plan for her to follow, she realized that she didn't need to do everything at once, and she didn't have to get rid of everything she loved. She was finally able to relax and was looking forward to having more space to live.
Here's the plan we built with her, and you'll recognize the pieces because we just talked about them. With her daughter's help, she started small, 1 drawer, 1 shelf, 1 corner. They picked the donation pickup date first and worked backward from there. That single deadline gave the whole project shape. They began with the obvious furniture she no longer used. Then they moved into her closet. As they sorted, they kept the 4 categories: keep, sell, donate, toss. And once she started asking, do I actually wear this? The donate pile grew pretty fast. By the time the truck arrived, she was surprised at how much was going. And what stayed felt right. The things that truly mattered, the ones that supported her day-to-day life. Slowly, the home began to feel lighter, calmer, and easier to get around. She stuck to the 1 in, 1 out rule so she wouldn't end up wrecking all the hard work she had done. And honestly, the biggest transformation wasn't the home itself, it was her relief. Once the process was broken into small, manageable steps, what once felt impossible started to feel achievable. And that's why planning ahead matters. Decluttering isn't just about preparing your home, it's about giving yourself time and space and choices before life forces decisions on you to happen all at once.
And now that she has the big job of decluttering done, when she is ready to sell and move on, she's already halfway there. Now let's talk about the part that's hardest for everyone, the sentimental items. This is the part that takes longer, not because the work is physically harder, but because it's emotionally difficult. We're not just talking about stuff anymore. We're talking about memories, people, different stages of life. But remember, you don't lose the memory just because you let go of the object. Here are the 3 approaches we recommend. First, photograph it. A picture means you're not losing the memory. You're just changing how you keep it. I've been doing that with my kids' school projects since forever, and it sure takes up a lot of space. Second, pass it on now while you can be part of it. Give it to a child or a grandchild. Tell them the story. That way it becomes a shared moment, not just an object. Third, choose the meaningful few. Keep the pieces you actually want with you, not the ones you feel guilty letting go of. A few meaningful items often carry more weight than keeping everything.
And honestly, holding on to everything always makes things harder, not just for you, for the people who eventually have to go through it all at once. Okay, part 2 is downsizing. This is when you're actually moving. Smaller home, condo, retirement community, whatever the next chapter looks like. The principles overlap with decluttering, but the stakes change. Now you're not just managing your home, you're choosing what comes with you into a completely different space.
So start with the destination in mind. Rule number 1 of downsizing: measure twice, move once. Before you decide what stays, if possible, it's best to know where you're going. You have to consider things like the closet size, storage limits, the room layout, the wall space for furniture. And just as important is accessibility, because the place you move into now should still work for you in 5 or 10 years. We've watched people pay to move furniture into a new home, only to pay again in 2 weeks to move it back out because it didn't fit. Or it fit, but it made the space feel really crowded. Knowing that destination first prevents both of those.
Sometimes, though, people don't get the chance to start early. We were referred to a widow who had already begun the process, and it wasn't going well. She'd purchased a new home with another realtor who just had a date circled on a calendar. He hadn't looked at the whole picture of what actually getting there required. His focus was only on the sale. What she needed was someone who understood everything that had to happen before the sign went in the yard. Not just the physical work of sorting through decades of a shared life, but the emotional weight of doing it alone. By the time she came to us, she was overwhelmed. She felt rushed, pressured to just get it done, but no one had shown her how. The first thing we did was slow down the approach. Even though we couldn't change the timeline, we mapped out what was realistically possible, what needed attention first, what could wait, and what didn't need to be decided under pressure at all. We told her the deadline doesn't change, but how we get there does. We're going to take one step at a time, and we're going to do it together. On the real estate side, we focused on getting her home presentable, not perfect. The goal wasn't a magazine shoot. It was a clean, presentable home that would sell within her timeline. And it did.
Was it stress-free? No. The timeline was tight and there were hard moments, but it held together. And more importantly, she felt supported, not just pushed towards the finish line. So here are 8 principles for the downsizing side. As before, don't worry about trying to remember everything or getting a picture of the screen, because there will be a page with these tips to print out sent with the newsletter. Number 1, start with the destination in mind, if possible. We know it's not always possible. We just covered this in detail, so I won't belabor it, but it's the foundation everything else sits on. Measure the new space first, then decide what comes with you. Number 2, focus on lifestyle, not just belongings. Ask yourself, will this support how I want to live now? If you're trading yard work for travel or for hobbies or for less maintenance, your belongings should match that. The things that suited the old life may not suit the new one, and that's okay. That's more than okay. Number 3, keep comfort and release volume. So you prioritize the most comfortable furniture and the items you truly use. Smaller spaces feel calmer with fewer pieces. It's quality over quantity. Your favorite chair is worth keeping. The 4 other chairs you never sit in are not.
And number 4, digitize memories when possible, meaning take pictures on your phone. Photos, letters, important documents, kids' artwork. Keeping the memory doesn't require keeping everything. every physical item. And a box full of artwork takes up a fair amount of space. But the same artwork digitized takes up no space at all. And you can find it very easy when you want to revisit it. Number 5, tackle sentimental items last. Start with the easy categories: a kitchen, bathroom, linen closet, office supplies. Build confidence with those decisions first. By the time you get to the sentimental items, you've already gotten good at deciding. The hardest stuff feels less overwhelming when it's not the first thing you're facing. And number 6, gift items while you can. Passing heirlooms or meaningful pieces to family members now, while you're still here, lets you share the story behind them. You get to see them appreciated. You get the conversation. And that's often more meaningful than having someone go through a box after you're gone.
Number 7, set clearly defined keep limits. For example, you keep 1 tote of keepsakes, 1 bookshelf of books, 1 china set. When you set a limit ahead of time and stick to it, the decisions get easier. Instead of asking, do I keep this too? You're asking, is this the one I want to keep? And that's a much easier question to answer. And number 8, ask for support. This is the one we'll say twice. Ask for support. Downsizing is very emotional. You do not have to do it alone. Involve family, a trusted friend, professional organizer, an amazing pair of realtors, even just someone to sit with while you work through the hard decisions. That makes a real difference. These are not rules, they're tools. You use the ones that fit your situation.
Which brings us to family, because for most people, this isn't just your process, it becomes a family process. And that can be a beautiful thing, but it can also get complicated because everyone comes at it from a different place. We hear from the parent, I'm not ready to give up control or my independence. And what we hear from the adult children is, we just want mom and dad to be safe. Both are valid. The trouble is when nothing gets talked about ahead of time, because then the decisions get made under pressure, and that's where stress and tension and sometimes even conflict come in. Not because anyone was doing anything wrong, but because there wasn't a plan in place.
2 things help. First, be clear about what you want, what matters to you, what you're comfortable with, what your priorities are. If that's not clear, decisions tend to get made for you instead of with you. Second, involve family, but keep the balance. Their input matters, but it's still your decision. Now, let me tell you what it looks like when this all goes well. A couple we worked with had lived in their home for more than 30 years. Not hoarders, just people who had built a full life and accumulated everything that comes along with that. They knew a move was coming. They just didn't know where to begin. And here's what made the difference. They didn't wait until they had to. They came to us and said, we know this is coming. We just need help figuring out. So we didn't start with the house. We started with a plan. We broke it into stages with a new target for each month, decluttering a little at a time, getting realistic about what would fit into a condo, which is what they were planning for. We connected them with a local organizer. 6 months later, the house was under control. They were ready for the real estate side. They bought first. That gave them clarity. Once they knew exactly where they were going, decisions about what to keep did become much easier. Then we shifted to selling, and because they had already done the hard emotional work ahead of time, the process wasn't so chaotic. No last minute scrambling, just some light staging, a clean presentation, and a home that showed beautifully, and it sold quickly, which reduces the stress as well for them. On moving day, they weren't depleted, they were ready, and that's the difference planning makes.
So that's where we come in, and not just to sell a home, to help people figure out everything that comes before that. Because for most people, the real challenge isn't the move itself, it's all the steps leading up to it. What needs to be done first, what matters, and how to go through it without feeling overwhelmed. Sometimes that looks like helping someone build a simple plan. Sometimes it's connecting them with the right people we trust. Organizers, movers, contractors. And sometimes it's getting the timing right. When to start, when to list, when to buy. Sequence matters. And sometimes, honestly, it's just being the calm voice in the middle of it, because this process can feel like a lot. And having someone walk through it with you can make a real difference. The goal is always the same, to make it feel manageable.
If there's one thing we hope you take away from today, it's this. This doesn't have to happen all at once, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Starting early, even in small ways, makes a really big difference. I want to share something personal for a moment. I mentioned earlier that I was going through this with my mom. My mom is a widow. She has a small house. It has been very full for years. And for years, I asked if I could help her go through it. For years, she's in a hospital now. She's no longer mobile, and she has the beginnings of dementia. So now it falls to me. Here's what's hard about that. Sorry. I can't ask her what anything means. I can't ask her permission. I have to make decisions about her life without her in the room. I really wish she'd let me help her while she could still tell me the stories. But it doesn't always work out that way, you hope. Everything we're sharing with you today is genuinely useful, but you can't always control how it lands with the people you love. I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad. I'm telling you because I understand this from both sides of the table. But what I know for certain is that doing this while you have time, while you have choice, while you can still be part of the conversation, that's a gift. It's a gift to yourself and honestly to the people who love you.
Whether this is something you're thinking about for yourself, or you're helping a parent or someone you care about, having even a simple plan will bring a lot of peace of mind. And if you ever need guidance, even just to ask a question, we're always happy to be a resource. We'd love to answer some of your questions or hear some of your stories of where you're at. That's all we have for you now.